How's everybody doing today? Let's go. Man, it's a good week, my friends. It's a good week. Thank you, man. I'm so excited. I'm so excited, man. I haven't been that happy in in a long time. It's a boy, my friends. It's a boy. Let's go. Let's go. We haven't picked a name out yet, but we do know it's a boy. She's actually farther along than we thought she was. She actually surprised me yesterday. I was gonna go live, so I apologize to everybody who was planning on me going live, but she ended up surprising me with an ultrasound, showing me it was a boy. I didn't know about it, so we're very exciting because I thought we were supposed to find all that out at like the 20 week, but she ended up doing it, finding all this out at 18 weeks. So let's go, let's go. Thank y'all, thank y'all. I'm gonna wait 1 minute here, let some people jump in, but God, we got a lot to go over, guys. Everything's finally. It's coming, man. The bank I called, all this stuff we called down to a T. It's literally to a T. Anybody who is listening, though, if you did, I have this group that's trying to, oh, I'm gonna get you, blah blah blah. You're an idiot. If you listen to me on that Coinbase play, I never said I suggest buying it. I just said that it was the ETF for all of these Bitcoin. So there's a high chance that the stock price goes up, and, I'm going to participate. If you did that, you're up $104 at this point. So this group that's trying to cry about it and come at me about my coin trade, cry, dude. Cry away. Hopefully people listen and made back some of that money that was stolen. I don't care. Fuck off. I'm so sick of people crying at me about everything I do. It's hilarious. All right, but let's get into this, you guys. We got a lot of good stuff to go over here. So let's talk about AMC earnings. I did my prediction video right before earnings. We were pretty much head on everything. I showed you guys they projected us at like 1 billion revenue exactly, and we figured we'd end up about 1.1, and we literally ended up at 1.104. So, like always, they underestimate us. We always beat. But here's the thing. Even with Taylor Swift, and a lot of people didn't want to hear it, and a lot of people were like, whatever, dude. Even with Taylor Swift, even, with Beyonce, I'm like, we're still going to have a loss, and we did. And this is the thing. This is why, see, here's the thing with this call. I was super excited about it because Adam Aaron said he had all this stuff to talk about. And here's the thing, you could be disappointed about stuff, and I wish everybody on Twitter and everywhere would just realize this. Guys, it's okay if somebody's upset with an earnings call and they want to say some stuff, get it out, and be upset with things. You can be upset with people. You don't have to back every single thing a person does, says. Even the CEO of your company. But here's the thing. A lot of people, when it came to this earnings call, he was talking about, I have all these things I want to say, and it got me excited. Because, I thought, hey, he's going to have a whole bunch of, maybe a distribution deal, maybe a new revenue stream announcement, something along the lines of that nature. Now, I'm not saying this was a bad call. It was a good call. It was a very good call, actually, if you listen to all the things that he said. We're improving everywhere across the board, and this is what I've been saying for everybody. Anybody who is an idiot and thinks Adam Aaron wanted to kill this company, he could have done it many times. He could have ended this shit a long time ago. He easily could have. He even broke down the numbers for all of you people that didn't want to hear it and all this stuff. He broke down the numbers. All those equity raises, he needed to do it. Now, all these people that, he killed the momentum at every turn. Well, here's my question to you. You guys complain every time he would sell at a lower number. So if momentum's going up, the price is rising, isn't that the time you want a CEO to sell to maximize profits? It's not killing a run. It's called maximizing your equity raise. Now, again, with this quarter here, I was pretty upset because I thought he was going to, there was no new announcements. But what he did announce is basically, we're kicking the middleman out in every single system of our business. The entire structure of our business, we're basically kicking the middleman out. And that's huge. Now, this next earnings, I definitely expect him to announce, new type of candy. And that's good because more candy we come out with, that's less space available. That's more we can charge Hershey's and other companies. Now, everything else he was showing, another thing he talked about that was good is we're renegotiating rent. And this is key. This is huge. This is something we need to do. We need to go ahead and if we can't get out of these high-ass rent things, all right, fine, fuck it. If we can afford to, get out of these leases, do it. In the long run, it'll be better to do that. Now, here's the thing. I said before this earnings, I want us to do one more capital raise. And everybody's, oh, no, why? Why? You guys, right now at the end of this, we have $884 million in cash. That's a great, that's a good amount. That's a good number. Now, even with Taylor Swift and Beyonce, we absorbed, it was like, what, I want to say, it was like $118 million loss. Okay? That's a big loss. Now, you still need to pay debt for this next quarter. Now, I said what I want him to do, and a lot of people, whether you agree with it or not, I think we should sell about 75 million shares worth. Now, why would we do that? Well, one, that will pay for our debt this quarter in Q1. That capital raise will pay for the debt, and we'll still have about 40 million, that we can absorb from our loss we're going to take in Q1. You don't have a Taylor Swift. You don't have a distribution deal. We don't have anything that's going to help us get there. You're going to take a big loss in Q1. You will. Like I said, guys, I'm here to tell you what's going on. I'm not here to sit there and be like, yeah. No, we're going to take a loss in Q1. As you guys can see, I've said this forever. February sucked. Unfortunately, February sucked. February was the worst month. And I said that for like 8 months. I go, prepare for the worst month since COVID. It was the worst month of movies ever. It sucked. There was nothing. It was absolute garbage. Why did that happen? Because of the strike. All those things got moved back. But from this point on, movies get better and better and better and better. And into 2025, they're like, we should be very profitable in 2025. Now, one of the things Adam Aron did say, which was amazing news, is because we're kicking out the middleman, because we're doing all of this stuff, because of all these new revenue streams, because we're selling the popcorn, because we're selling all these, the sweets, the candies, we don't need box offices to return to pre-COVID levels to start making profitability. That's good. That's amazing. 2025 should be the best year since since pandemic. Well, if that's the case, we should be profitable, very profitable, every single quarter in 2025. Now, a lot of people are sitting there going, oh man, again, I don't think we're going to be burning cash the rest of the year. I told you guys the only time we're going to be burning cash will be Q4 last quarter and Q1 this quarter. Now, back to this. So, if you look at that, if we did the 75 million capital raise, you could pay for your debt. And again, you can absorb some of the loss we're going to take this quarter. You don't have the Taylor Swift. You don't have the Beyonce to help with it. So you still want to end, if we did this capital raise, by the end of Q1, you can still have over 800 million in cash. That's a big deal. You could still now go buy and do other upgrades on other theaters. You can get out of some of these leases that are continuously burning tons of money out of your pocket. Hold on one second. Sorry about that. My phone's ringing. This is my wife. But yeah, so like I said, guys, you still want to have a big cash reserve. And then having a big cash reserve, like I said, the 75 million, people sit there and they're like, no. Guys, 15 million shares at, $5. Apes are going to buy that in 1 fucking hour. And here's my point, and I've said this forever. Everyone who's gone fucking crazy every time there was a capital raise. The short interest didn't drop when he did capital raises. It went up every fucking time. So who was buying those new shares? It was us. It's not like he went out and shorted it, and all of a sudden, next thing you notice, all the shorts were like, fuck, and they scrambled out for him, and then the prices skyrocketed. No, we bought them all. So if he did another 15 million share, we would buy it in 1 hour, and that's it. And it's Ortex, so I'm not saying, always take that with a grain of salt. But you're seeing AMC's short interest skyrocket. It's back to like 34 million self-reported, 340 million for all you pre-conversion people. Just 340 million short shares. No big deal. Like I said, guys, AMC, the only thing we needed was the company to fundamentally turn around, be successful. Now, I'm not sitting there, there are people out there listening to me like going, so we have to wait till No, we don't have to wait till 2025. What you needed to do was kill the short thesis. What you needed to do was stick it out until the industry started to come back. The short or the strike was over. 2025, you needed to get rid of all that. Like I said, we should be profitable. I see us being profitable in Q3, Q4, and basically right there in Q2. Unless he has a distribution deal. Maybe he pops off one distribution deal or something. That could change everything. But Q3 and Q4, I believe we should be profitable. And then Q25, like I said, all the way. So knowing that information, fundamentally, you're killing the short thesis. That's exactly what we needed to do. They have tons of cash. AMC's not going bankrupt anytime soon. Now, even with that capital raise, what I told everybody is we're going to be around $4.50 to $5. They're going to pin it around there, and that's exactly what they did. And they're going to keep doing that. Right on earnings, I said we're going to drop to about $4.50, and we're going to stop right around there. Exactly what happened. It's just predictable what they're doing at this point. But the problem is everything happening in the background in the next month or two here, it's done. Like, it's already starting. The exact banks, the exact stuff I said, look for this, they're coming to do. They're coming to do. And you already have the bank that we needed to start it all to go down. Today basically just crashed. They're doing an equity sale. They're trying to do as much capital. There's no more bailouts. And I'm going to show you guys. I promised you this will be the year of 2024 will be the year of bank crashes. This is when their musical game stops. This is when their musical game of chairs ends. There's no more. There's no more of this bullshit. And I'm going to show you what they're doing. And everybody says, well, how do they get out of it? I'm going to show you what their course is right now because everything's failing. They're right now they're throwing footballs at the, remember I told you, like, pretend they're on that little island right now, okay? And they're throwing stuff at it. It's a giant barge. It weighs tons and tons and tons. You ain't stopping that fucker. It's coming right at you. Well, now they're trying to run. But the problem is you're on a little island. Only place to run is inside your little igloo because it's coming and it's coming hard and it's coming harder than I thought. You guys, there is 0% chance this goes into 2025. 0% chance. Zero. The game of kicking the can is done. The numbers are too great. Powell is now realizing we're fucked. People are sounding the alarms. The market priced in everything. You're seeing gold and Bitcoin rally. You're seeing CEOs left and right. Larry Fink now joined the club. NVIDIA's CEO just sold. A ton of insiders sold. Tons of people are selling, and they're running to the places that I said would be safe when this crash comes. And it's right in front of your eyes. Now, the rest of the year, so this weekend, Dune 2 killed it. Again, the rest of the year, I expect to be nothing but great numbers. You got Planet of the Apes coming out, Godzilla coming out. You have a ton of things coming out. Like I said, the rest of the year is going to be amazing for the box office. You're going to see AMC's price start to recover. Now, they project this weekend Kung Fu Panda 4. Now, I told you guys, don't sleep on these children movies. These kids movies, man, they can blow up. Like, I've shown you guys, like, tons of these kids movies are billion-dollar movies. So people always sleep on these. This thing was made like 500 million worldwide. These type of movies, dude, kids love this shit. So don't sleep on these cartoons that, everybody instantly just looks at the box office and the first thing to do is, what's these big movies that I would like a Dune type things that are for adults? Kids movies can make just as much, if not more. So right now they expect this to actually surpass Dune 2 this weekend. So again, you could have like 170, $200 million box office, this month. You can, and these are the type of, weeks throughout the rest of the year you're going to start to have. This will start to skyrocket for the rest of the year. So we got through the hardship. We got through that was our mountain. That was our Everest to overcome as a company financially. We got through all of that. So the fact that we got through all of that and AMC's price is where it is and it's valued at an all-time low is the biggest gong show I have ever fucking seen in my life. But the key is right now is we have almost 900 million. You don't want to burn a massive, massive amount of that right now in Q1. You just don't, you guys. Like I said, one more capital raise does not kill the play. It puts AMC financially where it needs to be. It helps, again, shore up the balance sheet. It helps us, again, go out and explore more revenues. Maybe it will help us get alcohol in faster. Any way that can help us and help the company get more revenue streams, keep getting that middle guy out, keep kicking that middle guy out. So when it does return, dude, they're fucked. Like I said, when box office does return and you kick the middleman out everywhere, like I said, if you think Adam Aaron has wanted to kill this company, this was your first stock play and you're thinking emotionally this entire time. How do I know? Look at every other CEO that did everything. You're telling me every CEO in the entire world is against their company. No. Again, if he wanted to kill this play, he could have done it many times over. Everyone that complained about Ape. You're right. We shouldn't have done Ape and we should have just burned through everything we had and that should have been it, right? People were like, well, we're profitable. We weren't profitable enough to pay down debts and manage everything else and all of our expenses. You were profitable $18 million, but you were paying more than that a month or a quarter in debt. And people are looking over going, why did we need capital raises? Adam Aaron's trying to fuck us. No, he's trying to keep his company alive. Now, did he sell at the best numbers and all this? No. We can go down that road forever. But like I said, if you thought he was trying to kill this company, he's not. He was trying to turn it around fundamentally every single way. Now, our banks, our dominoes, everything, it's happening. Today, it's finally happening. They're fucked. Now they got a bailout right there. New York Bancorp, they basically crashed today. They completely fucking crashed, okay? They needed a bailout. They would have been done. This would have been your domino effect. And it looks like somebody stepped in and saved them. They lost 50% of their stock value today. And all of a sudden somebody comes in apparently and they go down 50%. They went down to what? $1.76. They started the day at $3.08 and they went down to $1.76. And they shot back up to $4.18. Why? A poorly seeks equity raise. So they're now selling off assets. They're now doing this stuff because, again, you guys, the musical chair stops. This is them. This is their New York Community Bank. This is their last Hail Mary. You're down to selling off. You're off to fire sailing shit. You're off to going out and getting an infusion of cash. You're going out and taking all these investors and this and that, and you're doing your last-ditch effort here. These regional banks are fucked. These regional banks are not... I don't even know if they're going to make it to this summer. I don't believe they can. I don't believe any of these regional banks. You're going to end up seeing these type of bailouts. You're now going to see, because the feds are no longer going to be able to step in. They've said it. Powell said it. These guys are going to need to start to sell off things. Well, once this starts to happen and everybody that's inside this bank starts to hear what's going on, guess what they're going to do? Run. This is a last-ditch effort that does not work because everyone that is now in this bank is panicking and they're going to move their money. And this will be just like Silicon Valley Bank all over again. Everybody's going to go. You guys are in such rough shape. You needed to go out and get equity raises, do all of this. Like I said, this was our first domino. Well, this domino got tipped, and it was just about to hit one over, and somebody came in and caught it last second and put it back up. It's going right down again. That thing's getting heavier and heavier and heavier by the second. Again, 3 hours ago, so some equity raise, somebody came and bailed them out. Now, it's always been the feds bailing out the banks. And I told you guys, Ryan Cohen told you guys, they're going to have to pick one. This is that time. This is definitely that time. And their time's ending. Because everything that's been their tools, their systems, their bailouts, they're done. They're all retiring. They're all ending within the next month and a half, 2 months. And I'm going to show you what they're doing and what they're saying and how they're trying to get away with this. And there's no way in hell that this can happen. There's just no way. So, once again, this stock crashed today. It was saved. It had a it had a bailout by some infusion that we're going to find out tomorrow. Somebody stepped in to bail them out. But here's what's funny. And I bet it was a JP Morgan type situation. JP Morgan Community Bank Bancorp was JP Morgan's top regional bank pick for 2024. It lost 73% year to date since they've went ahead and said, this is our bank. Everybody, we're recommending this bank. Go here, put your money in here. Boom. It's lost 73%, and now it's been downgraded to junk. Good job, JP Morgan, and feeling the fucking gong show. So, what ended up happening? Like I said, man, this thing crashed, bailout. What's going to happen now is you're going to have a lot of these banks go down. You're going to have some of these bailouts, but it's going to be like Credit Suisse. Because a lot of people are like, well, is this going to affect banks and bigger banks? Well, this problem is here is you're going to have the biggest domino you've ever seen fall. The problem is you have commercial real estate that's gotten even worse, you guys. I mean, I showed you guys the other day. They were selling at 85. It went from 50% on these offices to 65 to 75. And then I showed you guys 2 weeks ago, there was an 85% discount. What did I show you guys the other week? Somebody sold their office building for $1, and they were afraid that people were going to start selling this stuff for $1. Well, I'll skip here for a second because it's actually pretty crazy. I don't remember where it is. Here you go. So you have $929 billion coming due. And I told you guys they can't stop it. There's not that much. There's not enough for these guys. There's not enough of a bailout to contain this. There's not. That's not out there. It's just not. They're not going to make another program. What they're going to try to do is send everybody to the discount window. The feds are going to try. They're going to have to let banks collapse, and they're going to pick and choose who they want to save. Now, to show you guys I'm correct on that, I went and took this snapshot today from the Federal Reserve, their statistical release. Let me just make sure you guys see where that. Okay. So I took the snapshot today. Well, if you guys look, the balance at the Federal Reserve window was basically non-existent February 21st. Well, look what happened on the 28th. It jumped up by $2.2 billion. It went from not being used, everybody getting out of it, to jumping up $2.2 billion. So in other words, people are starting to now randomly, like I said, you have the bank lending program ending. The feds don't want it. They're not extending it. They know they're taking losses. And this is what I was going to ask. This is what I kept asking everybody. If you are the feds and you're loaning out $170 billion, what happens when all these banks start to go under and they can't pay you back? And you suddenly take billions and billions and billions in losses you didn't expect. Well, what's happening currently with the feds? Look how they're operating. The feds currently are operating at a $153 billion loss. The feds are losing money. They're losing money. They're operating at a $153 billion loss right now. And that's just adding and adding, and every week it's going up by $10 billion. So they can't afford that. They can't go ahead and say, well, yeah, we'll just keep taking more and more and more and more billions, because guess what they're going to have to do for that? They're going to have to print to make it up. Well, that's going to lead to more inflation. Well, they're trying to fight inflation right now. What did I tell everybody? There's 0% chance that they cut rates. There's none. They might do one at the end of the year, or I said they're going to raise them. Exactly where we're going. Well, as you guys know, the Bank Federal Board has announced the ending of the Bank Term Funding Program on March 11th. That's in 5 days. That's in 5 days. Well, all of a sudden, what you're going to have is you're going to have banks crashing like this. People are going to see now, hey, not only did they crash, they ran over into the discount window. That means bad things. And they're going to run. And that was the stigma attached to the federal discount window. Anyone that goes there is in trouble, and everyone's going to run when they find out. Well, guess what? Everyone's suddenly going to have to start running here. And everyone's going to find out. Look at that jump, you guys, in 1 week. It's going to jump higher and higher, and I guarantee you when the report comes out again, this thing's going to jump drastically. Like I said, they're running out of places to go. The feds now, they have a little bit more control in the federal window, so they want them to go use the window. They're not going to keep coming up with all these more cans to kick. They can't. They cannot afford to. Now, the problem is the second we took off the debt ceiling, it was the end of the country. And I said that. And nobody wanted to listen. And now you're hearing all these people talk about it. And everybody's finally waking up to what the hell's happening. So, I want you guys to look at this. If you're just listening, if you have the ability to look at your phone or your computer, look for 1 second. I want you to look at this chart. Don't listen, look at this chart. After they took that debt ceiling out, look at how rapidly they started borrowing. You hit the debt ceiling and look at that spike. For every 100 days, we're borrowing over 1 trillion. We are adding 1 trillion to the debt now that they took it off. Well, that's actually accelerating. It's going to end up being every 90 days, which means by the end of the year, we will add another 3.2 trillion to our debt. We will be over 3.7. This is not sustainable. Powell said it, and by the end of next year, we'll be at 40 trillion. Well, here's the problem. Now, I didn't know this. Now, I talked to you guys about there's 8.2 trillion in treasuries that are set to mature, that need to be renewed, rolled over, whatever. Well, all of that needs to now be refinanced. Well, what I didn't know is, hold on, the U.S. Treasury has 2 trillion, 7-year maturity, to roll over in just March. So that means we now have 2 trillion by the end of March that needs to be refinanced now at the new rate, which is going to just keep skyrocketing and skyrocketing and skyrocketing. Okay? Because this is getting riskier and riskier and riskier. Because you're looking at the United States economy and it's fucking trash. How are you going to pay it back? Are you going to be Japan? People ask me, Bigums, why is gold at an all-time high? Why? The same reason I told you to buy gold, physical gold. Not fucking gold stock, gold. Get physical gold. And guess what? If you would have done that, again, it would have just skyrocketed at this point, because everything points to one thing. Your can has been kicked too hard, too much. Your pile's way too damn big. You have too many bubbles. And they're all crushing down on each other. Now, you have another 800 billion in interest payments. Now, I showed you guys we're already over at $1 trillion now in interest. Now, when this all sets to renew, you're going to jump to 1.4 trillion in interest. This will now be your number one expense in the United States. $1 trillion, basically, out of all of the United States, $1 trillion is basically just being thrown away because we can't handle our debt. We don't know what we're doing. We have people in office that have no clue what they're doing, and they're just throwing trillions away because of it. How do you ever make that up? Especially when they say GDP raised $328 million. Yes, but what did they not tell you? Our debt to raise that GDP went up 968. So to get that GDP, it costed us 3 times the debt to get that GDP growth. Good luck. Now, back to this. So as you guys can see, We're accelerating, accelerating, accelerating. That's ridiculous. The second you took the cap off government spending, like I said, it's going to go rampant. It's going to go wild, and that will be the end of it because they're going to borrow billions and billions and billions to where, oh, yeah, like, I'm sorry, I got to take 1 second to show you all. If you didn't hear the great news, just because I'm just jacked. I'm having a boy. There he is. Let's go. Let's go. But the reason I'm showing that once again is because how are our future generations? How is my son? What are they going to live in? How are they going to ever pay for that? Because we're borrowing from him to pay for our mismanagement now. And the cost of living for them, and I'm scared shitless for him. If you're a parent, you already know what I'm talking about. Now, I've been talking about this debt spiral and how it's going to kill the banking system, because it will. Because everybody's going to go into money market funds, as you guys seen. Well, I told you when this number starts accelerating, the amount of people that will leave the banking system itself to go to money market funds will accelerate. Now, I'm going to show you guys a clip. If you're listening, if you're kind of just listening in the background, I want you to listen to this clip for 1 second, okay? It's 30 seconds, and it's from Ken Criminal Griffin. Okay? This is from Ken Criminal Griffin. This girl just asked him, with everything going on in treasuries now, and it getting it as the way it is, the American people think the main buyers, now that the rest of the world is starting to back away from treasuries, we think that the American people and hedge funds like you and Citadel that are short treasury bonds are now going to become the main buyers of treasury bonds. Now listen to what he says. That was her question, okay? Listen to this fucker.
To next year.
Well, let's just be very clear. The marginal buyer of treasuries is going to have to be American savers. No ifs, no ands, nor buts. And that's going to crowd out investment that American households would otherwise make in corporate bonds, equities, and other assets that contribute to the productive growth of our economy. Like, that's where we're going to find the marginal buyer, and it's going to come at a cost in terms of our ability to create jobs and to enjoy a level of innovation and productivity that has defined so much of the life that we have lived in this country over the last century.
Did you hear that? Basically, they're saying, well, we're done. Our thefts comes at a price, and it's the price of innovation in America, the life you've all enjoyed, the way you were accustomed growing up to, your family, their family. It's all going to come at a cost, because what's going to have to happen, these are his words, the American people are going to have to come in. The people that have been saving their money, they're going to have to come in and say, buy the treasury bonds. And then when the United States defaults, guess who's going to get fucked in the end? Us. But not only did he say that, he said, since we're going to have to come in there and be the people that are buying the bonds and having all of our money tied up in that and all that, there's going to be less jobs created. There's going to be, because we're not going to have money. We're not going to be able to have that access to all of this stuff. So he's saying there's going to be less jobs created, less people being able to get, starting up new corporations, which means less innovation, which means less competition. Basically, he's saying the American people are going to have to pay for all of our debt because that's the way it is. Nobody wants it. It's now become too risk. It's a giant risk. Nobody wants our shit. So the only way that we can do it is we're going to have to keep bumping it up, and the American people have to buy it, and they're going to get fucked over in the end of the day. And in the meantime, until they get fucked over, innovation will stop, this will stop, and the American dream, fuck it, who cares? I'm a rich piece of shit that I want to say something right now, but I will get in trouble. Oh, Kenny boy, one day, my friend, one day, man. One day. One day, man. That's all I have to say. Let's just take a sip. Calm it down. I hate this pile. Here, this is a terrorist. You're a terrorist, Ken. There's nothing around it. You are a terrorist to the United States financial system, and the United States American dream. You are a fucking terrorist. Piece of shit. Loser. Go fuck yourself. One day, buddy. Fuck off. Moving on. I'm moving on because I'm going to start getting upset, and I'm too jacked to get upset. Now, this is what I'm trying to show you guys. So, as we're going down this giant spiral, because I forgot to go back. So, I've been saying this for like a year now. U.S. death spiral, crisis, fears grows after banking America issues $1 trillion every 100 days. You're now seeing a huge Bitcoin boom, Ethereum, XRP, gold. Basically, everybody's getting away from what we call the dying fiat currency, the United States scam. Now, we showed you guys all the old presidents, the forefathers, everybody that said if the American people knew what the banking system really was, they would storm the streets today. Well, we found out what they are. They're a banking cartel. They're criminals. They're people that steal from you and never let you actually live that American dream. They're people that steal your retirement when you have dementia. They don't care. They have no morals. They're going to take whatever they can when they can as fast as they can because they only have $100 million and they're only going to get a $40 million bonus. So they need a $45 million bonus next month. If they don't steal from you, where would they get it? Now, I told you guys they're not going to let everything crash until one of two things happen. Number one, they have CBDCs. Well, we informed the people so well, those got squashed right in their fucking place. So number one, if you think we have no effects, you stop CBDCs because I promise you they would have been in effect. So don't think educating other people has had no effect. It's had a massive effect. So they're either going to get their CBDCs in, or what else did I say they were going to do? Gain control of crypto. They got in crypto in every fucking way possible. ETFs, they own the exchanges. They suddenly, we hate crypto. Everyone get the fuck away from crypto. But then they now basically, they own it. They basically are right up in it. They're up in crypto more than anyone else. So once they can go ahead and get up in their shit, their exchange, do all their crap, and a lot of people sit there and go, well, can't they sit there and do shit on, it's Bitcoin, it's on ledgers and shit. Yeah, and there's also things called chameleon technology where you can fake ledger numbers. So if you don't think criminals know how to hack this and use these programs and all these other things that I know about chameleon tech coding, what the hell do I not know about? Because they know about something I don't, I promise you. We're talking about the same people that have satellites throughout the world placed on rooftops so they have extra speed everywhere. These people have paid 7,000 plus violations, and that's just banks. 7,000 crimes have been committed by just banks. I'm not talking hedge funds. I'm not talking market makers. I'm talking just banks have committed 7,000 felony crimes that they just write off with acceptance, waiver, and consent. And you're telling me they're going to abide by some stuff? No. Especially now with fucking crypto when they have the exchange and they can process transactions and they own the transaction, the logs and all that crap in the exchange. Like I said, they're criminals. That's what they do. The national debt has already gone up again since the last time I showed you. $86 billion in 3 days ago I streamed? What the hell? What the hell? So that number I showed you before is it's skyrocketing by the week. $80 billion? What the fuck? It's nuts. These guys, like I said, they're robbing your children every day by the billions. Look at this. The U.S. national debt has now increased by $3 trillion, you guys, okay? $3 trillion since they they took away the ceiling. That was 9 months ago. It hasn't even been a year yet, and they've raised it $3 trillion. By the time it's going to be a year, they will have raised it over $4 trillion in a year. Holy crap. That's true insanity. $3 trillion in 9 months? Okay. Like I said, this is going to keep rolling over. You're going to have $8.6 trillion due. What are you going to do? What are we going to do when next year, by the January 1st, we're suddenly paying $2.4 trillion a year in interest payments? You're doubling Social Security? What? What the hell is going on? Because we can't control our politicians from spending on unnecessary things? You're spending at such a massive rate. Okay, let me ask you this. You guys are spending at this rate. How are the American people's lives better for it? You're spending billions of dollars on what? Where's it going? Where the fuck is it going? And now I sat there and I told you guys, there's 0% chance for these rate cuts. Why? Because you have too many bubbles. Now think about this logically, because this is what they don't want you to do, is think logically. Okay? Think about this. I am the feds, okay? I'm operating at a loss. I'm bailing out banks and all these programs. And guess what? It was beneficial to me before because I had the reverse repos and I made money from letting you guys do reverse repos, okay? The reverse repos are gone. Reverse repos are gone because they don't have that access money. They don't have that money there to park to give to them, okay? So now the feds can, in return, take that money, go into overnight index funds and make money themselves and then pay them back, or pay them in the notes. So the feds now, it's no longer beneficial for the feds to bail the banks out either. So you're not, the benefit's gone. You're now operating at a loss, and a greater loss by the week. Okay, so you're the feds looking over, and now you're going like this. Now you're the feds. Now hold on. Now you're the feds, and you're going, my number one asset is what? Mortgage-backed securities. But guess what, you guys? They bought them all at the height of the crisis because they had to bail out banks that were defaulting. And then they bought so many, they called up fucking BlackRock. You got to help us bail these banks out. We can't keep buying trillions in fucking loans. And BlackRock came in and bought them all out. So now their number one asset's overvalued, or on their books it's overvalued, and they're going to sell them all at a loss again. Well, you just did a bank lending program, and now you're going to take more losses because you have banks that aren't going to pay you back there. So if you're the feds and you're no longer gaining benefits from there, you're the feds, you're looking over and inflation's about to get out of control. You're the feds and you're going to have to eat billions more in losses and print again and again, lead to inflation. Eventually you're looking over going, fuck, we got to make a choice, man. This is just getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. Well, first thing they're going to do, and like I told you, even Ken Griffin's telling you, it is fucked. We're so fucked. And their plan is for us and our retirements and everyone who's saved for us to fucking bail them all out. But we don't even have that much money. You pieces of shit have more money because you killed your middle class. I already showed you. Your number one class has more money than your middle class and lower class combined. America is no longer that free country you thought. You are slaves. You are enslaved by debt. That is why they keep letting your debt grow. That's why they don't care. And they're letting all these people get to this point where, hey, I know you couldn't afford this, but go ahead. Borrow, and you will never get out of that debt. And you will work for fucking life. You will never have that American dream. You'll be stuck doing this, and paying me. That's what they want. And then in return, I'm going to go ahead and take your payment, and I'm going to rehypothecate what you owe me 100 times over. Okay? So it's not up to Citadel. So like he said, it's not up to Citadel to buy the treasuries that they've shorted. It's going to be up to us. It's up to the Americans to buy the treasuries to support the country. You. Good luck with that, moron. People are working 2 jobs. And they're going, well, yeah, people are moving to money market funds because they have no choice, because banks, and that's the thing. It's like these banks are okay with all these banks dying off. And one of the things I showed you guys, Powell said it himself. The reason we're okay with tons of banks dying is the United States has more banks to capital, and by a lot, than any country in the world. So what they want to do is kill off a ton of these banks. They want to kill them off. They want a concentration of a certain amount at certain banks. They want the rest of us then buying money market funds to support the government spending. It came right out of their own mouths. That is what the government, that is what Kenny Boy, and that's what all these guys have for you planned. And then when enough of you guys are stuck in those fucking bonds, that's when the United States will default. And what did I tell you guys? What did I say 13 months ago, 14, 15 months ago? I said, if we kill CBDCs and we back these fucks into a corner, they will literally collapse everything. They will move everything like us. They will move all of their shit out of the United States. They'll move it all into gold, commodity, Bitcoin, as you're seeing. Bitcoin probably will keep skyrocketing. I'm not kidding. You're going to see more of these fuckers sell. And here's the thing I asked people. People sitting there like, what did you think about these people, what did you think these people, sold, all these CEOs? Because one, they see the crash, and where do you think they went? Why do you think Bitcoin skyrocketed? Why do you think gold skyrocketed? It's not just because banks are buying it. Banks have been buying it like crazy for the last year and a half. It's because now you had these other guys buying the shit out of it too. And then they're running on over into Bitcoin because they all see the same thing. Dude, the dollar it's in a very, very scary place. It really is. You got BRICS. They're now making... I'm not saying BRICS is going to overtake it, but they just announced now they're going to do a ledger type thing. They're going to have a currency that's going to actually have more different features, advantages to ours. Not saying it's going to overtake it, but you're already seeing more and more people. Like I said, you're seeing the bigger picture on the wall. Everybody sees what's happening, other than the sheep. Now, I want you guys to look at this, because when I sit there and show you, don't listen to fucking media, because everything they say is a fucking lie. I told you they can't raise rates because there's so many bubbles. You have a housing bubble. Now, let me ask you one question, and then you'll go, okay, that makes sense. If I am running an economy, and I have bubbles in every sector, okay, and everybody's over-leveraged, okay, nobody can afford what they have right now, why on earth would I say to myself, I'm going to lower rates and give them access to more credit? You don't want them to have access to more credit. Everybody's over-leveraged now. Why the hell would you say, you know what? Take on more. Take on more easier debt. I'm going to make it easier for you guys to get more loans with the banks. You're not going to do that. You're not going to say, let's inflate these bubbles even harder and then have inflation skyrocket at the same time. So now you're inflating the bubbles and inflating inflation. You got to fucking pick one, dude. You're going to have to pick one. That time to pick is now. And again, if you didn't believe me, that should have showed you right then and there. If I didn't tell you exactly where they're going to go, well, guess where they went? They went straight to the federal fucking discount window, because that is where the feds are going to force them to go. That is where the Fed, here's your proof. Here is your proof. You're now going to start to see the federal discount window going to the 50, the 60 millions. And then you're going to see failures. It already jumped 2.2 billion in 1 week. Wait till we get the new numbers. They're all running here. The feds have more control, and this will be like I said, this is where they're saying we also control who, we have more of a say who can and cannot use this. more control on like the pay. They have a lot more control over what they did with the bank lending program. That was just more of like here's a fucking loan and blah, just pay us back. Okay. And then they're finding out, well, they don't have that money to pay us back anymore, so we can't give them that leeway. You guys are now going to have to come over here. We're going to have to absorb those losses, print it, bail some of you out, and the rest of you are just going to have to go under. Because, again, we have more banks and we have capital than anyone in the world. They're not even necessary. And as I've been showing you more and more with the way money market funds are going, with other assets out there, the banking system itself, it's just pointless because they make 0.00% on your interest on your money. So the only real reason to go to banks is to get a loan. Well, again, like I've shown everybody, if you're going to go get a loan, you go over to a credit union. They'll give you better rates anyways, no matter what. You get in a credit union, they'll give you better rates. And you don't need to have as good of a credit score. There's no benefit to going to a big bank if that's the case, because people are going to wake up and go, well, why the fuck am I going over to this big bank getting raped by these rates when I can get a less rate and a less deposit, less down? I mean, there's no point of JP Morgan other than to finance criminals, finance criminal politicians, to finance Jeffrey Epstein Islands, to be a drug mafia, to, that's it. That's why they're there. They're there to be the thing that we all hate, the worst part of the existence of humanity. That's what JP Morgan's there for. That's why I hate them more than anything in the world. JP Morgan needs to be, like I said, Jesus Christ, look how many, I'm not going to get on JP Morgan. I'm not going to get upset today. Too much good stuff. But again, you're already seeing a domino. That domino, once again, was going to be Bancorp today, and a good New York Community Bank, and again, it crashed. We had our bailout. They sold off stuff, and then they ended up selling things off. Wall Street apparently jumped in and gave them a cash infusion, and that's not going to matter, because now whoever gave them this cash infusion is just going to take a hit. So, waste of time. I mean, think about this. Just think about this for a second. If you were in this bank, and you saw this article today, hey, your bank's insolvent, needed to sell off stuff, are you going to stay there? Or are you going to get your money out of there? You're going to get the fucking money out of there. I don't care if they got a loan. I'm going to look over and go, you needed to get a loan to survive? So you're living off credit cards? My money's not safe there. I'm getting the fuck out of there. That's what everyone's going to do. There's no way. This is a temporary Band-Aid that another person's going to get smashed. So now what are they doing? Here's your news articles, your media. Here's how they lie to the sheep. The U.S. economy is so strong that there might not be any rate cuts in 2024. The U.S. economy is so strong that there might not be any rate cuts in 2024 from CNN. Really? Interesting. The U.S. economy is so fucking strong, dude. No. The U.S. economy is so awful that they can't do rate cuts because they can't give criminals or people access to money because everyone's broke. Great job. So now all of a sudden you got, the Feds cut rates. Doubt's suddenly creeping in. This came out the other day. Well, this now talks about the market and how the market's been going up and up and up, and everybody's been planning on rate cuts. Well, what's going to happen when all of a sudden none of these rate cuts come? In fact, what happens when they hike rates? So again, you got a propped up market off fake news. Just like you have a propped up Mag 7 off what? Fake numbers. They're doing Ponzi schemes. They're inflating data. They're inflating everything for profits and saying they're profits that they're not making. It's all a giant Ponzi scheme that's relying on other Ponzi schemes to be successful. Again, I'm going to go ahead and post this here for people. Read this. There's a ton of good information on this article. Tons of good information on that article. I don't want to go too super into it, but again, this is what they're telling everybody else out there. Everything's so great that we can't do rate cuts. It's just too good. It's too good. That makes no sense. It makes no sense. Now, this is what they said today. The Feds come on. The U.S. unemployment needs to rise significantly to speed up rate cuts. So they're not going to cut rates until there's more people that lose their jobs. Well, I've already showed you. Look at this. Number one, they lied about jobs in all their data. It's been revised. They also, I showed you that this is the highest number in history of the United States, that people are working 2 jobs at a time. So they overinflate the numbers by counting people that are working 2 jobs as 2 different people. So they overinflate those numbers. Well, on top of that, they kept saying job openings are up. Well, job openings actually for the last 6 out of 8 months got revised to negatives. So they were way fucking off. Oh, we were actually completely off by, it's like AMC earnings. We were off by $105 billion. Oh, no big deal. Same thing. Like I said, I can't believe a government can go out, put out reports and say, this is what we have. Well, we think we have this. And then 2 months later, revise the numbers and go, well, we were off by billions. We were off by hundreds of millions. Why the fuck are you guessing? You're the government. Shouldn't you fucking know? You know what I mean? So they're sitting there saying to us, we can't lower rates. Well, here's the problem. And this is why I'm bringing all this up. Because it has to do with where they're running to right now, you guys. What happens if I don't lower rates? What happens if I raise them even more? What happens? The unrealized losses for banks does what? It goes up. Those unrealized losses grow and grow and grow. And that means lending for these banks gets harder and harder, and credit for those banks dries up more and more and more. And they can't afford that. They can't. So what are they trying to do? They're running. Oh, I didn't even get to this thing. I'm sorry. Those buildings that I showed you. So I told you guys, you have a $929 billion barge going straight at these regional banks in the commercial real estate crisis. And again, I brought up the 85 and the 2%. Well, look what happened today. I'm sorry, this was a couple days ago. 2 days ago, sorry. 2 days ago, 2 San Francisco offices got marked down to 0, nothing. Give them away. Fuck it. First come, first serve. You got to do all this stuff, but hey, I can't afford it. Here. Jeez. Like I said, you have people now taking 99% losses. Now, I told you guys $929 billion train's coming. If these banks are taking 90% losses, holy shit. That's going to be, these guys have trouble with $1 billion, $5 billion losses. What's going to happen when they take $900 billion in losses in 1 year? What's going to happen? You're going to see a lot of dying banks. They're not going to stop this, especially if it's going to 90, 85, 80, 99%, 100. This is 100% discount. He just basically gave someone the fucking keys and they had to repair it and do all this stuff. Here you go. Just handed it to him. This is crazy. This is nuts, dude. And again, the feds can no longer bail these piles of trash out, which is why they're moving them to the discount window to finally kind of control this. Exactly where I told you guys they would push them. And in the result, you're seeing gold skyrocket. Gold it's been at an all-time high. It's staying around that 2150. It's not going to go down much less. It's going to go up. It's really about it. The problem's going to get worse. Gold's going to get more valuable. Bitcoin, same thing. Certain cryptos, people are going to start to see, hey, this scam we call fiat currency runs off a cartel and a scam we call the banking system. And more are waking up. This is why I said our number one this entire time has been what? Our number one weapon, education. If you know the truth, You can tell somebody else who can tell somebody else. And then when you look at your government and every single time they tell you one thing, but you really understand the background because you understand the economy and how economics work more than they do, that's a scary fucking thing for them, because then they'll realize the entire United States will say, hey, this entire system's a scam and needs to be reworked. Just like our forefathers said. The second this was created, just like our forefathers told us, when they wake up, they will storm the streets and this will come to an end. Well, when you steal trillions and trillions and trillions, people start to wake up a lot faster than you planned. Now, again, why I brought that up, here's what they're trying to do. Wall Street mega banks have created a circular firing squad with credit derivatives and capital reliefs trades with the Fed's blessing. Like I said, the Feds have been allowing all this. Well, I really want everybody to read this article. I'm going to post it. There is a ton of good information on this article. I highly recommend reading this one. But if you come down here and you go down to the bottom, this talks about counterparties, talks about, derivatives, is the things I have been going over for years, and how they don't do anything with the risk. Well, what it talks about also is how there are non-banking people who are selling credit risk to these banks. Well, guess who those are? The things I told you will happen. A family office will go down, and a regional bank will go down, and that will start it all and fuck the whole thing up. I figured Bancorp was going to be it. They got bailed out, so they might kick the can a little longer here just to get a couple more things set up. But it's done. Like that the fact that somebody else and here's the thing, you guys. Doesn't that tell you a massive story? Somebody else bailed them out and they had to sell things. The government didn't step in this time. Does that not tell you something? The government didn't step in here. Somebody else had to buy all this toxic debt from them. Somebody else did. That's a big deal. Now back to this. So, one of this talks about how this committee was made for the 2029 finances. But one of the things I thought that was funny, because it always happens, whenever you read criminal things, crime, banking things that destroyed the financial system, systematic risk, anything like that, what do you always see? JP Morgan. When JP Morgan Chase was initiating hundreds of billions of dollars in risky derivatives trades in 2012, using deposits from federally insured banks in the U.S., it was attempting to engage in trickle-up capital relief trades. This gained them in the results of $6.2 billion in losses. So they lost $6.2 billion of their people's money taking gambles, led to an investigation by the FBI, embarrassing senator hearings, a scathing 300-page report. Oh my God! In a payment of a fine of $920 million that they wrote off as taxes because it was a fucking acceptance waiver and consent. But one of the things I want to show you guys, I talked to you guys about the end game rules and how it would finish them and how they're scared shitless of them and how I talked about capital or unrealized capital losses and things of that nature. Okay, well look what they're doing. So if you come over here, it talks about the new banking practices and all these new things like that. Now how they're pushing back against these new derivatives, these new end game rules, the amount of deposits that they need to have. So if you actually come down here, it talks about the Federal Reserve released a proposal to require higher capital level requirements at banks with $100 million. So this was only going to affect 37 banks. So this is going to be your top 37 criminal banks, okay? So basically the end game rules, which is what I was telling you guys, would kill the top banks, which is why they're crying, running, scared, and doing everything they can to try and commit their crime and keep it going. They're now hiring lobbyists, doing this, they're holding hearings, they're doing everything they can. They're bribing people, they're paying people under the table. They're doing illegal criminal things because that's what they do. Well, What they're doing now is they're trying to go ahead and basically bribe the regulators to stop doing this new endgame rule and change the letters and change all this. Well, I want you guys to see something here. So this came out, what is it? No, this came out today. Exclusive, U.S. regulators expected to make significant reduced base endgame, basically, capital burden rules. So now, they paid enough fucking people to come over here to pay enough of these lobbyists and pay enough of these people, pay enough politicians, these corrupt piles of shit, to come on over here, and now they're going to go ahead and so basically, here's what's going to happen. I told you it was going to make it 30%, right? I told you guys that these top banks would have 30% for their capital requirements because right now it's at 0. And the fact that it was going to go from 0 to 30 would have killed JP Morgan. JP Morgan would have died the second this rule went into existence, okay? So what did they do? They go over there, they pay these guys, and now look what they want it to be. 16%. So they took off 14% of what the original rule was. Absolute joke. So it's still a big number. It's still a massive raise. 0 to 16 is a massive raise. But 0 to 30 is where it should have been. So if you keep coming down, they have all these other things here now that they're trying to do as well. They're trying to get out loans associated with mortgages and how those are calculated and how they're reduced is why. Because, again, all these, like I told you guys, the rate now in the United States, because rates are going to raise, the housing market's already dead. It's already gone. It's bone dry. You're going to raise rates, and guess what's going to happen? Prices are going to crash because nobody will be able to afford anything with the new rates, so they'll have to come down. So the feds already know they're going to take a loss on those mortgage-backed securities, so they don't want to sell at a bigger one. Well, these guys have the same thing. We have all these mortgage-backed securities that are going to take, the value is going to go down and down and down and down even more, especially if you guys raise rates. We don't want to we don't want those attached to losses, and potential losses shouldn't be calculated with our operational risks. It's a joke. What they're doing here is crime. It's crime. The fact that the regulators are listening, taking their bribes, rewriting this stuff is crime. It's fucking crime. It is absolute crime. I'm going to post this article here as well. People need to see this. But this talks about the regulators led, like they talk about the base fee proposal to overhaul how banks with more than $100 billion in assets calculate the cash that they need to have set aside to absorb losses. So they want to keep lowering the figure, lowering the figure, taking this off. So now you don't have to calculate this money here and this money here and this money here. Well, what else are these pieces of shit doing? Now, here's something I didn't know, and it pisses me off, because this alone is a crime against the United States. In 2020, right when COVID started, these guys didn't have to. So with treasuries, right? So listen to this. This is an absolute fucking joke. So in 2020, they went ahead and created a temporary exclusion and exemptions for banks, right? So they didn't have to use the U.S. treasuries on their balance sheet for exposure levels, right? So in other words, basically these guys are saying, so now they're coming over here and they're saying, we urge the agency to not make this, because right now they gave them 1 year, right? They said, all right, we're going to give you 1 year to fix your exposure to the treasury and all this and blah, blah, blah. And the banks are like, all right, 1 year goes by. They didn't fix it. They made it worse. So now and then they went ahead and said, well, give us 2 years. Okay. So then they gave them 2 years. Well, they didn't fix the problem. They made it worse. So now what did they do? Well, we want you to go ahead and make it permanent. So this was sent March 5th, 2024. This is sent to the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve. Now what they want to do is they want to make this permanent. So we want to permanently exclude on-balance U.S. treasuries from total leverage exposure forever until we think everything's okay. So they're running over and they're saying, we know we have giant exposure here, but you're going to exclude us forever. Fuck keeping record books straight. Who cares about keeping this right? We want exemptions for life. If you give us exemptions for life, we can make it through this giant debt bubble crisis that we've created over here and the exposure we have over here. Well, this also tells me that they're also going, well, if there ever is a default, we want to be protected. And again, if they want, as you heard from Kenny himself, Kenny says, we expect all American citizens to run over money market funds and run over to the treasury market, and they're going to have to be the people that supports the government spending. And at the same time, the government will pay them interest rates that we can't. And then eventually it'll get too out of hand, and we'll go ahead and the government will crush all the people in the American savers. All the American people who've saved up and want to retire, we'll just crush them because we're not taking the losses. So, what do you know? They're talking about ISDA, which is why for, 3 years now, I've been telling everybody, no one pays attention to ISDA. No one pays attention to the derivatives market. Anytime I bring it up, people, oh, whatever. No. If you understand how big of a fucking joke the derivatives market is, how they can get away with this, how they can transfer risk. You guys, I can be so exposed to something, and instead of having to ever worry about it, I can transfer the risk to somebody else who can afford the exposure. Just transfer the risk. People were messaging me about this the other day. I have a video up on this exact thing. I put a post up on it. There is a way for banks to transfer risk. It's called hold on, here it is. Here you go. U.S. banks have found a new way to unload risk as they scramble to adapt tighter to regulation and rising interest using so-called synthetic risk transfer. Synthetic risk transfer. I can't remember what. I'm trying to look at my YouTube to see. Okay, well, here. I'm looking at my YouTube. I'm trying to think of which one. Here, let me just pull up here. What? Okay, synthetic risk transfer. Here you go. Generally known as significant or synthetic risk transfer, SRTs. These transactions enable banks, listen to this, to reassign future credited losses in reference loan portfolios to third-party investors. What? They can reassign their risk to other people, other shell companies, blow up the shell companies, all this crap. So then when they come get audited, or when they come, regulators come around, are you guys leveraged? Are you guys all hedged for your stuff? Yeah, because the risk that I couldn't afford, I went over here and pushed it over to these guys and sold them some fucking junk that they don't know is going to explode on them. And when it explodes on them, they'll pay for the risk that I had. Not even knowing it. Because they're trash. Like I said, banks are here to fuck you. Banks are here to screw you. Banks are here to steal from you. Banks are here when they steal too much from the United States to give that bad toxic asset to you, to someone else, in a form of something else, of packaged in with others, packaged in with this, packaged with that, to sell you this, to say, well, you can't afford this loan unless you do this, and they don't tell you the risk that suddenly, well, guess what? One of this risk shit was transferred into your loan. Perfect. We couldn't afford this, so we transferred this in because your credit wasn't high enough. So I transferred in just a little of my toxic assets that if I get called on and they get fucked over, you either pay for it or I'll take your house. Congratulations, banks. Congratulations, banks. And guess who they were offloading this to? I already showed you. Minorities and people of color. Oh. So the banks are making sure people of color and minorities don't ever excel in life. They want to keep you down and give you their trash. And then tell you, hey, you can't afford that house, but you can if we do this type of loan. I'm going to go whop it up with these. We're going to, just like in 2008, we're going to go ahead and all you guys are going to package you into this little tranche. And if if the tranches go down, well, you're fucked too. I said, banks are nothing but criminals, dude. Nothing but a banking, money siphoning cartel from the American people and from your retirements. Get the fuck out of them. So, while they're over here crying, trying to get these redone, while they're paying hundreds of millions to your corrupt politicians that we're voting in, they're now getting these rules redone. But even with them redone, this is still going to kill the big banks. They're not going to have it. I already showed you guys. The big banks' reserves are gone. Currently, right now, the banks have 90 cents. 90 cents to every dollar of commercial real estate debt that's defaulting. I'm going to say that again. At this current moment in time, the banks have 90 cents on the dollar to every, or 90 cents for every dollar defaulting of commercial real estate. That means that when all this commercial real estate comes, they can't afford it. They don't have the assets. They don't have it. None of them do. Not a single one other than Goldman Sachs. I showed you all their stuff. Only Goldman Sachs has enough to absorb this. If you're in Goldman Sachs right now, you're all right. You shouldn't be in them because they're criminals, but I don't see anything going on with your money. Now, with this, like I said, it's at 0 currently. Well, going up to 16, again, is going to lower drastically how much money that they can make. Well, people are starting to figure out every single thing I've been saying. Banking collapse, immediate or imminent. The Great Reset we've been talking about is starting. It's already happening. In spring of 2023, the banking collapse started with smaller regional banks. In spring of 2024, the next wave of banking collapse will continue. 2023, the CEOs of Bank of America, Wells Fargo, JP Morgan told Congress they could not go. Listen, they could not go from 0 reserves to be held at 3%. They could not afford 3% reserves. So what they did is they said, okay, we're going to keep it at 0. Okay, now what did I just tell you? JP Morgan, Bank of America, and Wells Fargo said to Congress, I cannot afford you to make it a 3% reserve requirement, okay? Now, what did we just go over? Even with them bribing these guys, okay? Even with them bribing the politicians, they're bringing it down to 16%. Okay? Well, they just told you they can't afford 3%. What's going to happen when you make it 16? On top of that, the current deposit to loan ratios means the banks cannot sustain any type of bank runs. And I've shown you every week over 100 billion basically is leaving the banking system. 1.2 trillion left the banking system last year. 1.5 is set to leave this year. People are running. Okay? They already can't afford it. Well, I just showed you. Now add in, what she does not have here, add in commercial real estate, which a 929 billion is defaulting. You have 90 cents on the dollar. Everyone is going to default. Everyone will be called. Everyone. Effective March 11th, there's going to be no more money from the federal lending program. They will need to move to the discount window, which is basically what I've been saying. They're going to have to move there. They have no choice. So, if you keep going down, this talks about, too big to fail. This talks about laws that were made and how basically they're able to transfer assets to this and that, which I was talking about also. Well, it talks about who's exposed. 401ks, 27 trillion in retirement accounts. The banks have already started this by limiting how much money you can take out. Think about it. They've already, how much you can transfer, how much you can send via apps. So, what does this mean? You also have the demise of the middle class. This will lead into a recession and a depression because I've already showed you the upper class is, once again, the 1% has more money than the middle class and lower class combined. You now have the elites and everyone else. You no longer have a free country. This is no longer the United States. This is to the point where we need to take this country back. You no longer have that America you grew up. It's them, us, and I said, it's a complete joke. You have destroyed the middle class. So what does this also mean? People are going to run. People are not going to pay off their loans. People are going to start buying gold, silver, crypto, other hard assets, land, things that I've been preaching forever, because you're going to have a crash. It all, like I said, you just put it together. You just see what's happening in front of you. Look at the reverse repos. We're at what, 429 billion? You've dropped 1.5 billion because banks don't have cash to park. They don't have it. So once again, you also have government spending, which she doesn't get into. You have a housing market. I mean, I'm going to go ahead and post this. People are waking up. And that's what why I'm showing this. People are waking up to what is going on in this country. The signs are everywhere. Numbers are everywhere. Numbers are at an all-time high in every single sector. It's worse than it's ever been, ever. Everywhere. So she gets a little political. I'm not going to go into this. She's talking about this means Trump's going to win, blah, blah, blah. In a bank collapse, the government couldn't. So this is one thing also. This could keep Trump from winning. In case of a bank collapse, the government could institute martial law and shut down banks and access to money. So like I said, whole bunch of shit, guys. And I've been telling you forever, just get the fuck out of these big banks. There's no good being in them. There's none. If you have family in them, I don't care if they don't believe you, dude. Make them. They could lose everything. And if they come up and say, I should have listened to you, it's not worth them losing everything. Like I said, man, people have worked way too hard, and these fucking criminals just take it. But, like they showed everywhere, stock markets throughout the entire world are all-time highs. They're all flying up. But the economy... Stock markets everywhere are at all-time highs, but economies around the world are at all-time lows. Okay. Again, everybody's waking up. People are finally starting to figure this shit out. This banking cartel needs to fucking go. This type of corruption right here, this guy, if you like John Kennedy, sorry, he's a fucking criminal. So this fucking piece of shit's taking, donations, whatever you want to call them, bribes. He's taking cash so he can go ahead and push their fucking agendas because he's a piece of shit. From Apollo, he loves the corporations, dude. Like I said, this guy, fuck this dude. I'm going to make sure that we go ahead and stop the CAT system. We don't want the CAT system. It's bad because you guys, they're going to get your information. Hey, fucking loser. Citadel already has it. Criminals have it. Banks have it. So you don't want the SEC to have it, but you want criminals like Citadel to have it? You feel more secure with Ken Griffin having this information, but not the regulators, the cops, the people who are supposed to fucking watch this? He's sitting there every day. Your information's at risk. I'll take my information being at risk if that means that the SEC at the click of a screen can look over and say, they just did crime within 1 second, and it's right there. It's right there. I can show you the venue ID. I can show you, like I said, it has a venue ID, corporation ID. It has every single thing attached to it. It has 4 timestamps instead of 1. Instead of 2. It knows the entire life cycle of the trade. There's no cheating. There's no moving this around. The second this is here and here, it knows. There's no more bullshit. There's transparency 100% to the SEC. And if anybody ever, I don't care how much you like this politician, I don't give a fuck who it is. If they say the CAT system is bad, it's because they get paid millions of dollars by corporations in donations to say that. And you need to stop liking them. This guy needs to get voted out. Period. Piece of shit. I don't have any ties. If you've watched my show, I don't like red. I don't like blue. I don't give a fuck. I don't care if you're Republican, Democrat. You're a criminal. I know it. You know it. You're a politician. You're a criminal. Fuck off. But this guy's got to go. This guy has got to go. Anybody that introduces bills, anybody that introduces shit to change stuff, you got to go. If you're actively pushing their agenda to get it passed by law, it's time to go. This guy's a piece of shit. Now, one of the other things that's happening as well with all these changes you guys got to remember is next month we have T+1 going into effect. So settlement's going to happen a lot faster. Now, if we have settlement going on, the SEC has the CAT system fully operational. You have the baseline end game. You have all of these, the commercial real estate collapse, more people pulling out. You're going to have more of this treasuries rolling over. The rates are going to go up. You're also going to have the feds actually raise rates, not lower rates. Like I said, it's all coming to an end. The fact that they're selling buildings for $0, $1, the fact that people are selling it at 100% discount means these banks are going to take huge losses in the hundreds. And we're talking there will be over $500 billion loss at these banks. So, like I said, that's all happening this year. So everybody that, like I said, was listening to me talk about AMC, talking about 2025, no, I'm just showing you your company's only, from this point on, will only get better. It will literally only get better from here for AMC. So, once again, guys, you have, before I get that, so like I said, you have more things changing, more things making it harder, things that make it need to have settled faster. That means more collateral needs to be processed quicker. Over here makes it, again, harder and harder and harder and harder for these guys. Now, one of the things I wanted to finish this off with, because we like to talk about corruption here. So I already showed you now that the 1% has more money than you. They have more money than all the middle class and poor combined. Well, on top of that, it says the IRS chief exposes $150 billion a year is evaded in taxes by the U.S. wealthy. $150 billion a year is pretty much stolen by them. I mean, think of how insane that is. 150 billion. Imagine if all of you got to just not ever, think about that. That's insanity. That's more than we sent Ukraine. A year. How many schools? How much stuff could this pay for? How much? Like I said, it's to the point where the government no longer works for the people. The government's there to keep the criminals in place to be able to steal from you and destroy the country. Like I said, I feel like at some point we need a revolution, and I don't give a fuck what anyone says. Beyond AMC, beyond the stock play, when this crash happens, shit needs to change. People need to be gone out of stuff. Like, this shit is... You cannot have private corporations running fucking your stock market. SEC, all this. We need this shit to start getting disbanded. A new government entity type thing coming in and having the government watch the stock market. Fucking crazy. You mean the government should watch their fucking country's stock market? Not some private entity named SEC and FINRA who are fucking criminals who create acceptance waivers and consent so these guys can stay out of our court systems and never go to jail. And then on top of that, when they get fined, they can write that fine off as a tax write-off and only pay 20% of the fine, while the United States citizens pay 80% of fines for the criminals to steal from them. Drives me insane, guys. All right. Does anyone have any questions? I pretty much went through all my tabs today. I went through everything I really wanted to get to, but like I said, today should have been the day somebody went ahead and absorbed them. Here's your Credit Suisse in the United States. It just got absorbed, but just like Credit Suisse, it's going to die. These guys they might get a couple more kicks, but it's like, that's it. Like this, there's no way they make it to the end of this year. There's absolutely zero chance. ideas on what to do with your attendees, dude, when we moass, man, do whatever you want. Do whatever makes you happy. You should be able to afford it. And that's the thing. In the United States, nobody can do their dreams. Nobody can do what they want just because they can't afford it because some fucking rich asshole, like, oh, I need to have $100 billion to my name. No one person alive should have $100 billion. Don't give a fuck. Nothing you've done is worth $100 billion. With how much money there is in existence, there's not anything a person does in humanity that's worth, well, you're right, you should own 30% of fucking all money or 10% of all fucking money. Oh, okay. Because, okay, at this point, let's walk up to Jamie Dimon, let's walk up to Bill Gates and all these fucking losers and say, hey, criminal, congratulations, you learned how to do tax evasion, steal from people, overcharge things, and do all this shit. You won capitalism. We have learned today capitalism is not how you should operate a country, because capitalism just means who can steal the most, who knows the most gray areas, who knows the most loopholes, and who can bribe the politicians the best. Like I said, you want to fix the United States? It's easy. Number one, the first thing you do is you eliminate dark money. You eliminate super PACs. You just fix the United States. I could, if I was president and I could get shit on and like I could say, all right, these 5 bills will go through and they'll pass. I could fix the United States in 5 fucking seconds. First bill, first thing I would do, I would disband the SEC and I would put it fucking somehow, I'd make a government entity in charge of the stock market, period. And I would make sure I have all the best fuckers in there. And then by disbanding that and getting rid of FINRA and shit, I get rid of acceptance waivers and consents. But the first thing I'm going to do is disable, hey, no more fucking super PACs, no more dark money, it's illegal. You can now do a $5,000 campaign, just like how it was in the old days. Just before rich people found out about lobbyists and Citizens United. Citizens United, I would disband your ass too. I would make lobbying fucking... well, I can't make it illegal, but I would, like I said, I would stop fucking Congress trading in the stock market, because the next thing they would do is if I took away your dark money bribe, you're going to go ahead and trade in the stock market. Okay? So you're going to get insider information and we're just going to have 99 Nancy Pelosi's. So you make sure that anyone that does any type of insider information, it's prison. That's it. You're instantly no longer a member of politics and you just go to jail. Period. That's it. That's a law. If you can't fucking be a big boy and a big girl, if you can't be, do your job, then you don't need to be in that job. It's very, very, very simple. Said these politicians, they're not even citizens. They're just you become a politician, you're suddenly exempt from everything and above the law and can take bribes. What the fuck? Oh, I can do insider information and who cares? I can do whatever I literally want. If I get caught, I have my little card. These guys have a card. This is true. Look it up. These fuckers have a card that if they're drunk and they're driving and a police officer pulls them over, they don't arrest them, you guys. They don't do that. They have to fucking escort these assholes home. No, should be prison, period. Jamie Dimon is a terrorist. The fact that they want to sit there and label Epstein one, well, his bank enabled it all. His bank gave him all the loans, and 14 of his executives visited the island. I've shown you the proof. I've shown you the document, and I've shown you everything that they've done. Did he give a fuck? No, he probably went there himself because he's a piece of shit. While his giant fucking shipping containers dropping off 20 tons of cocaine. God, man. Like this, dude, this is more insane than any movie you've ever read. This is any movie you've ever watched, more insane than any book you've ever read. This is stuff like this is like 27 books in one. Like, the stuff that's going on in the United States is unreal, man. And I mean, like, God, the fact that so many people know, like, the only thing we should be doing is showing everybody, dude, look what is happening. Like, we got to there's 1 billion of us, and there's, 100 of these losers? Paul, like I said, man, one day. All right. But I'm going to read any questions. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for everybody saying congratulations. I'm insanely excited about my son. I can't wait. I cannot wait. I'm so excited. You know, and you're not supposed to be able to find out the boy or girl, and we found out at 18 weeks. So that I got some pictures. So it was pretty sweet, man. Find out 2 weeks early. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like every guy wants a boy. You know, I would have loved a girl, of course, but you know, I'm jacked. I'm excited. I'm super excited. Don't have a name yet, though. We cannot agree on a name for the life of us. What month? I don't like to say a month, man. I'm not going to say a month this time. Anytime I say a month, people like buy stuff off it or like option plays. I'm not doing that. I apologize. I just don't like to pick times, and time makes people, you know, time makes people lose money, but facts don't. So specific dates do. Hold on, I'm just trying to read it all. Man, WWE. Very fun game. Highly recommend it. If you like wrestling. They did a very good job this year. I've been playing it. Mods aren't out yet on PC, but sound editor does work. It does work, my friends. I was always curious if I just, you know, because I feel like if I just did maybe a 20, 30-minute Q&A type thing, just kind of came on and talked, had some people on, maybe put on a match or two, would people actually watch, enjoy that or something? I don't know. Maybe something different. People have told me to stream myself gaming, but I don't really want to do that, I guess. But I would like to, if you do like WWE, I mean, I might start showing people how to mod it on PC for themselves, because stuff you can do on video game mods. Insane. Someone found out on Twitter who bailed them out. Let's check it out. Let's check them out. Who is the bailer outs? I can just Google. Bancorp stock jumps. Here, let's just write New York stock. Let's find out if I say jumps. Why did it? Gets 1 billion. New York City Bancorp gets 1 billion injection. Okay, here you go. So here we go. It jumps after receiving 1 billion rescue led by former Treasury boss Munchkin. Some fucking Munchkin, dude. Here, get this trash out of here. $1 billion infusion from investors greatly increased New York City Bancorp. Odds of surviving, even if existing shareholders will see their investment diluted. Well, after a 45% drop in its stock Wednesday in trading, they get injection from investment firm run. So they got an injection of $1 billion from an investment firm run by former Treasury Secretary Steve Munchkin. Of course they did. So it is like a government bail. It is like a government bailout, but the government themselves couldn't afford to do the bailout, so they had to call up their little boy over there. Hey, Munchkin, can you bail him out for us? So, good. This loser just is going to end up losing $1 billion. Fuck this dude. Cool. Problem is $1 billion isn't going to save him. Good job. You, Mr. Munchkin, you gave them an extra couple months, maybe. Cool. Dumbass. But there you go. Some Munchkin loser. Treasury boss Munch. Yeah, if you ever want to figure out something like that, just Google why did a stock raise. It'll tell you. You don't have to search through Twitter. Because trust me, some news outlet already had the story ready, so they can go ahead and trap more retail. Hey, Munchkin's over here. He's gonna give out $1 billion. Big Munchkin. Speaking of Munchkin, Charles Gasparino. I love how every time somebody calls you a Munchkin or short, you show them a picture from 9 years ago when you did a pull-up. Oh, I love it, dude. This fucking guy. I'll beat you up, and he shows you a 9-year photo of him doing a pull-up at a fucking park. You're like, okay. Congratulations. 9 years ago, you did a pull-up, dude. You're also 5'1". Oh, man. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for the congratulations. All right, y'all. I think I'm gonna get going here unless some more people have any questions at all. I don't see many more here. Yeah, I don't see many more. So, all right, guys. Thank you very much. Have a good day. I'm gonna get Peter Hahn on here soon. Again, we were gonna go last week, but then I had to go to the doctor's office and do an ultrasound. So, but next week I do not have anything scheduled with the wifey for the babies. So, I should have more time this week. So I'm definitely gonna find a day with Peter here. So, thank you guys for listening. Have a good day. Hey, baby.